The views and opinions in the following program remain those of the producer, and in no way reflect the views and opinions of Medford Community Cablevision, its board of directors, management, or other affiliates.
Hello there, and welcome to another edition of The Money Managers. I'm Harvey Alberg.
I'm DeLucia.
And as usual...
We're semi-live.
Yeah, and listen, there's a phone number on there for a reason. Give us a call if there's a question about something we're talking about, or you want to bring something else up, or you want to say how handsome I am and Ron isn't. Whatever it is you want to do, we welcome your phone calls because we are live. And it is August 29th, 2012. The world will be ending in about 2 more months. So,
well, the Mayans, the Mayans are right.
My first advice is that you should plan on stop paying your bills after next month because there'll be nobody around to collect it.
And if you start paying it and it's a mistake, it's okay because our government will pay everything for you like it's doing for everybody now.
Oh, God, I didn't say you could talk about that.
I heard there was 105 million people in the United States, this isn't the latest number, getting some form of government assistance.
Well,
that's unbelievable.
I do. I'm on Social Security.
No, not including Social Security.
Not
including Social Security.
Because that's actually my own money. Well, it is. I spent all that money over.
It's part of the Ponzi scheme, which Social Security is. It's the world's biggest Ponzi scheme because people keep.
It's true.
People keep putting into it. The reason we're having a problem with it is there's so many people retiring and so few people comparatively are putting money into it. I think when it started, there was one person retiring for like 100 people putting money in.
Exactly.
Now it's one person retiring for, I think it's less than 10 putting money in. That can't sustain
We actually
itself.
did that on a show once, so we had the exact figures. Remind me, I'll look that up again, because it was really crazy. So we got a lot of good things to talk about. What we will not talk about tonight, I promise, is any more soft-serve ice cream.
And I hear a sigh go up from everybody. Disappointment.
I know. Nope, I've changed my strategy. You always have to have an exit strategy, when you're in a battle. My new exit strategy is I'm going someplace else where they sell soft serve by the quart. And I just get it in a quart container, bring it home.
You're not talking about it.
Oh, that's right.
You're not talking about it.
Once I do the measurements, I'll tell people.
You can send your thank you notes to the station. It's okay.
So listen, speaking of thank yous, what a great segue that was. My wife, 3 weeks ago.
Speaking of thank yous.
Had her right knee replaced. Now, for those of you who have never had your right knee replaced, it's a bit of a painful experience. I actually went on YouTube and watched a knee replacement surgery before she had it because I wanted to know what she was going to go through. Well, after I saw it, she asked me what it was like. I said, "Oh, it's nothing. Nothing.
Is it bloody? No. Does it hurt? No.
Oh, you'll be back in the ballet company in no time." It was disgusting. I mean, they're using power saws, hammers and chisels. It's pretty tough to watch, especially if you know what's going to happen to somebody that you love and somebody you're going to have to take care of afterwards.
I think that was your biggest concern. What's the difference? Harvey, get me water. It was the same before the knee,
of course,
after the knee.
She snapped her finger and off I went. However, in order to really recover properly, you need a good physical therapist. There is this incredible person. Her name is Mary Ann. She's from Medford, and she's with Visiting Nurses. She has been working miracles with my wife. My wife is actually 3 weeks ahead of where she's supposed to be with flexibility. She's walking without crutches. She's just walking with a cane. It's astonishing what this woman has been able to accomplish with her. And so, Marianne, if you're watching, and you better be because I told you to, thank you so much. And your family should be very, very proud of you because you've really made an incredible contribution to us. And hopefully we'll have you a little while longer so that Doria can dance off into the sunset. But she's been amazing.
Well, and I'd like to say hello to a couple of people. First, Carol and her father, Slick. Mr. Rocky, his very good friend, Johnny Pesky, passed away. You know,
Yeah.
Slick, you take care of yourself. You hang in there. I know he's had some troubles too, and Carol does a good job of taking care of him. You know, a Medford guy for years. He's worked at Fenway Park. There's a picture of him and in his uniform, his usher uniform, and his Babe Ruth is there. So he's got some wonderful memories. He's a really, really nice guy. In fact, the way Carol came to work for us was I had a little sign in the office when we had an office next to Alexander's on Main Street, and said, you know, help wanted. He stuck his head in the window and said, "You looking for help?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Good." He shut the door. And Carol came in and he said, "Just please hire her, get her out of the house, get her away from me." So I have...
She's great, by the way.
Yeah, so he's a nice guy. And my father turns 90 Thursday.
Wow, God bless him. How's he doing?
He's doing very well. So if you're listening, Dad, hello.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
and not only that, but you're probably very pleased that I'm doing most of the talking.
Yeah, very pleased. Well, you mentioned you know, the physical therapist. I mean, he had such wonderful care up at the Lawrence Memorial Hospital, and in fact, the cardiologist and the person in charge of his breathing and the machines was from North Medford. I just can't remember his name, but he was a year ahead of me in school, and he knew all the people that I knew from South Medford. He used to come down, and he took a little extra care of him because my father has been in Medford for 65 years, you know, and our family and stuff. And so, you know, Dad, congratulations. I'm glad you made it. And I'm sorry you have to put up with Harvey during this hour, but, you know, hang in there.
I would sing happy birthday to you, but I'm afraid that the 3 people that are watching will click off their TV.
2 of them have already turned it off. Okay.
So I promise I won't do that.
Okay, let's get into some things.
Okay. Actually, what you were talking about, what I was talking about, is care of people. And, you know, I came across an article that interested me the other day, and it was, what is the biggest risk to your golden years, in your retirement years? And it's not what you expect. It's not inflation. It's not taxes.
It's not breaking your hip.
No. What it is you're going to live too long.
That's okay. The current administration is taking
that's
care of that.
Oh,
It's taking care of that.
here he goes again.
You will not have to worry about living too long.
Oh, my good Lord.
It's all taken care
So,
of.
one of the problems is because of the great medical care that we're able to receive today, people are going to live longer. And the result is that we will be probably in nursing homes at some point. Now, people don't really understand the nature of this and the reality of it, and what concerns us as people who try to help people financially is, look, do you insure your house? Well, I don't know of anybody who doesn't insure their house. Do you? The odds of your home burning to the ground are 1 in 16,000. 1 in 16,000. The probability of totaling your car in an accident, a little better, it's 1 in 100. Do you know anybody who doesn't have their car insured?
That's pretty scary, 1 in 100
It is.
total
It is.
car.
But everybody's got their car insured, right? Exactly.
You're supposed to.
The probability of needing long-term care is 1 in 2 for a woman and 1 in 3 for a man.
That's because men die. You know?
Yes, because we live with women.
He said that.
Now, nobody's going to go a day without owning a home, auto, health insurance, right? But statistically speaking, the probability of those events just pales in comparison to needing long-term care. And I can tell you from experience, when I sit down and talk to people about, you might want to look at long-term care insurance because it's really insuring your estate. It's not necessarily, insuring care for today or for the next 3 or 4 days. Look at the bigger picture. You spent an entire lifetime creating an estate, which consists of money, property, investments, everything. And yet, nobody's willing to insure it.
How much does what does it cost for a nursing home in Massachusetts? I have a number.
I was going to get to that next. I'm going to tell you right now, because we do not live in Biloxi, Mississippi.
Where it's cheaper.
A lot cheaper. The actual average care, the average cost in the United States is about $222 a day. So if you figure, you got to figure that's about 70,000. I had a client recently who went into a nursing home in the Andover area, $132,000 a year.
I was going to say 11,000 a month. That's the latest figure I've heard.
Yeah, very expensive.
$11,000 a month. So you get to the point and you say, well, what do I do? What long-term care is, what you're doing is you're buying a bucket of money.
Yeah.
A bucket of money to pay those expenses. And one of the things, the big problem is that medical technology has extended people's lives who would die in 6 months to now living a year and a half. They're now living 2 years. And if they've accumulated assets like a house or money like that, they're going to pass on to the kids. That now gets eaten up for the care. And don't think for a minute that you're going to be able to take care of your elderly parents. Or if your parents say, don't worry, my kids will take care of you.
You have to give up your job to do it.
You have to do that. And think also of how embarrassing it would be for your mother or your father, especially with some of the necessities that, the normal bodily functions that you'd have to do it. I don't know people that would be comfortable with that. And this didn't happen 100 years ago because people would die before all this happened. Maybe you'd do it for a month and then someone would pass away or a week. Now they're able to bring people back. They're able to keep people alive, but they keep part of them alive and part of them doesn't work so well. And it's just it's great that we're able to do that, but it's also very scary. And that what is the moral, ethical, limit of when a person should be allowed to go?
Let me ask you something. Let's say I owned a $30,000 car, and I needed to insure it. I lived in Medford. I'm a good driver. Just approximate, because there's other factors that go with it. What would it cost a year?
$500 to $700, we'll say.
$500 to $700
a year.
Wow. And that's for a $30,000 car that's going to depreciate every year, right?
Yep. And, well, one of the things is in Massachusetts we've had a decrease in rates since deregulation, we'll call it, about 5 years ago. We're now seeing an upswing, and I'm going to get into that almost every company has raised rates last year and raising them again, and they're going to raise them again. We're back on the upswing again. And it was said that if this didn't happen, rates would even be lower than what they are now. I don't necessarily believe that, but you're going to see rates increase.
If you think back to, remember when we had airline deregulation, when the Civil Aeronautics, let me spit that one out again. The Civil Aeronautics Board ceased to exist, and we all of a sudden had these cut-rate airlines come in. The airfares weren't like this.
Then they couldn't sustain.
And then now they've all dropped by the wayside. There's a couple of survivors, and now the fewer airlines that we see, the higher the airfares. And I think that's what happens when you deregulate. You see the initial downward trend of whatever the cost is of that particular segment of the economy. But over time, it comes back.
Ultimately, any capitalist society goes to the point where there's consolidation. You know, the bigger crocodile eats the smaller one. You know, they grow and they get bigger and bigger, and they're more competitive than another person.
Yep.
Then eventually they get to one, and they get one. And when you get one, it's a monopoly, which is what the government wants to stop. So they try to come in, and sometimes they do a good job of splitting up things and breaking up things. I think the worst thing that happened in my lifetime, as far as that, was the split up of AT&T. It has brought so much confusion and aggravation to my life, because I'm not a techie, and and it's we certainly would not have the advancement in cell phone technology and the computer technology and all the things we have if AT&T was just there alone. The reason we have what we have is because it was split up and competition was thrived, which means government didn't do it, individuals did it.
So my point is that, for somebody, I don't know, somebody who's got a $500,000 estate.
And that's small. If you have a two-family
You have a house.
You have a two-family house in Medford, it's in good shape.
Yeah.
The prices are starting to go back up again. If it's in good shape, you can get $500,000.
So let's say you had $500,000 in the value of your house. Let's say another couple of $100,000 in the retirement fund, another $100,000 in flotsam and jetsam.
And you have some life insurance, because that gets thrown in if it's not set up properly, right?
That's correct. So the life insurance, I was trying to think of that when you said it. It's part of your estate. And if there is cash value in it, that can be counted in.
That's when you're alive, but when you die, it becomes part of it.
When you die, it's part of your estate, and if you have to pay an estate tax, then that's another problem. Or if you were eligible for Medicaid, they can
go in and
attach your estate and try to pick up whatever they spent on you. But that's a completely different subject. What I'm getting at here is, what if it costs you $2,000 a year to insure what we're talking about, an $800,000 estate? You're already paying for these long shot losses, at least that, right? If you add in your car insurance, your homeowner's insurance, and maybe your health insurance or whatever, you're already paying that. You don't go to bed without having that kind of stuff, and yet your entire estate is sitting there at risk because you've got a 1 in 2 or 1 in 3 shot at having to go in a nursing home. And I don't know a lot of people who could spend $130,000 in cash a year for more than a couple of years. And remember, when you're spending that money, your spouse doesn't have that money to live on.
Insurance, whether it be car insurance, life insurance, long-term care, house insurance, it's all the same. You pay a little bit of money to get a benefit that in case there's a catastrophe, it takes care of it. So let's here are two things. Okay. One of these is $1 million, and one of them is nothing. Okay? That's in one hand. In the other hand is another, we'll say, envelope, and this is $500,000. Okay, now you get to pick what you want. Okay, this one's $500,000. You can pick this, or you can pick one of these. So now I wonder how many people would say it's either $1 million or nothing, or I can guarantee myself $500,000. Now just think of it. Everyone, just make a decision. When I taught 5th grade, we did this with kids, and a lot like you have to decide. And it'd be interesting how, whether you want 2 candy bars or you want something, and you'd get the children to decide. They'd pick different things, and everyone would pick different things and different reasons. So now, once again, $1 million or zero. You can pick one of these, or you can pick this one that has $500,000 guaranteed.
Guaranteed.
All right. Which one would you pick, Harvey?
$500,000.
So would I. Now my brother would probably go for this, and with his luck, he'd probably get the $1 million. But that's basically what it is with long-term care. You're spending some money. You're not having money now, but you're guaranteeing that you're going to have money there to help you in the future. And there's a cost to that. And what happens is that people look at something like this and they say, oh, yeah, I want. It's not $100. It costs money to do it. So you have to be committed to do it, or at least exploring it with your advisor. And and you say, oh, okay, am I going to do this or not? And a lot of times, you can get your children to get involved with this because they're ultimately the ones that are going to get your estate.
That's their inheritance. That's correct. And what you were just talking about is, let's say it costs $4,000 a year to insure a husband and wife. And let's say they live 20 years and then they died. And they never, ever used the benefit. So that's $80,000, $40,000 apiece over 20 years. They were insuring an $800,000 estate. Now the estate's worth $720,000. So you've got the guarantee of $720,000.
Right. Rather than the possibility of $800,000 or nothing.
Yeah.
And these are very difficult discussions to have with your parents or yourselves, with your spouse, and what you want to do. But it's just like we've talked about wills and trusts and having things set up. You have to have these things, because if not, the nature will make the decision for you, and you probably won't like the decision because you won't be prepared for it, and it'll probably be the most costly undecision you never made.
Yeah. It's like when I first came into this business, they always refer to it as the big mistake or the little mistake. The little mistake is spending the money on the insurance and never using it. The big mistake is not spending the money and having to use it. And your choice, your money.
Have you ever delivered a check to a spouse, whose husband or wife passed away?
Yes.
Delivered a check and them saying it's too much?
Oh, no. No. Absolutely not.
And especially the way rates have changed over the last 20 years. I mean, one of the reasons I stopped selling life insurance years ago is I would get upset to go over someone's house, and there'd be 3 kids running around, and the person wouldn't take $10 out of their income stream a week to protect their kids. And this one couple in Malden, which was the last straw for me, didn't want to do it, but yet they were going to eat at Morton's that night, which probably was going to cost them about as much as a life insurance policy was going to cost.
How about sitting there while they're both smoking, saying, we can't afford to spend $100 a month on life insurance?
It's $7 a pack, 2 packs a day.
I mean, how absurd is that? But what are we supposed to do? Say, what are you, stupid? I mean, you have to respect who they are. And
they have a right to make that decision. How about this? Are you a smoker? No, non-smoker.
Yeah, right. All you have to do is walk in the house. They're a smoker. All right. New subject. Are you ready for a new subject?
Let's go.
Okay. I have been reading...
Which may surprise a lot of people, because I didn't know we could read either.
And it doesn't have that many pictures in it, so for me, this is really...
You're making progress, Harvey.
Thank you. The Medford Patch. Now, what is the Medford Patch? The Medford Patch is Medford's version of, there's a national company called The Patch, and basically it's an internet newspaper for each municipality. So most cities, some towns, I guess, have a patch. You just type it in on the computer and up it comes. Got all the local news. Every news story has a chance for you to leave a comment as to, and it becomes a big, long discussion. Some of these things go on for weeks. The people, and they start arguments, and
I stopped reading it because I've said this before, that I believe civility has gone out of conversation. So you'd read it, and someone would say something, and the comment, if someone didn't agree, would be like, "You stupid idiot," and it would.
I know, it's nuts. It's bad enough that they do it in politics. Now we don't need to be doing it with each other. So the article I'm going to refer to had to do with some legislation that was going on in Massachusetts to ban pit bulls. Well, I'm not going to get into a discussion about whether we want to ban pit bulls or Pekingese or Chihuahuas. I frankly don't care. I've met good pit bulls, bad pit bulls, like I've met good people, bad people.
Does any of these people ever bite you?
Yeah, but I'm not going to go into that right now.
That you didn't have to pay for.
So they're arguing back and forth about this.
I can just imagine.
Oh, you can't. So this guy, now a lot of people use pseudonyms. They make up names because they don't want people to know who they really are. Although you do have to leave your real email address on patch when you
When I go in
sign
there,
up.
I always sign off Harvey Alberg and,
Yeah,
and watch
thank you.
the fireworks happen.
So this guy uses the name David Mokal, M-O-K-A-L, and he writes, "It's the insurance companies that tell the homeowner they will not insure for dog bite. Pit bull, chow, German shepherd, many more on the list. They, the insurance companies, won't cover you." Okay, so he writes this, he or she, because we don't know who the heck it is. And I'm telling you up front, I let Ron know about all this because he's got some great information on this. And then, 30 minutes later, he writes, "Insurance companies have a list of all the dogs that are high risk. The insurance companies will not insure you for certain breeds, no matter how friendly the dog is." Somebody else says, okay, "If you have the insurance company's statistics you keep referring to, it'd be great to share those with everybody." And then, a woman, we think, by the name of Mary, how clever. "David, I agree with Daniel." Daniel was criticizing. "Not only has no one on this comment section used the language you have," and it wasn't bad language, but I'm not going to repeat it here. "Also, why would anybody believe an insurance company? They would use any means not to pay a claim." I'm sure you'll have some things to say about that. Last but not least, there's somebody by the name of Ella Watson. We think we know who Ella Watson is, but we're not going to say it here. Ella Watson says that evening, "Insurance stats are not accurate," you got to be kidding me, "and do not include out-of-court settlements, which is how the insurance companies bend its own data." Now, Ella Watson, whoever you are, please get your head out of a dark place.
Yes, we'll be doing another Math Man show soon, perhaps.
Oh, my God. If the insurance companies included out-of-court settlements, Ella Watson, their statistics would be even more in their favor. They're trying to show that there's a lot of dog bites in certain breeds. Why would they leave out-of-court settlements out of it? If there's another 1,000 of them, it just enhances their argument. So some people just want to write stuff, and they don't realize that other people are reading and say, "What are you, stupid?"
This is one of my pet peeves of the Internet. It gives voice and credibility to people who have no credibility, who have a half a brain, but because they say it and they say it viciously, and we've both been victims of it, people look at that and they're allowed to do it. You know, and that's a problem. Now, that's totally wrong. It's, you know, I look at that, I listen to that, and I laugh. Look, let's
talk about this because, I mean, you know, I'm trying to make light of this stuff, but it's a serious issue, and people don't understand. I'm sure you're going to say this. Insurance companies are not in business to lose money, and you know what? You don't want them to be in business to lose money because someday you may have a claim, a legitimate claim, and you do not want the insurance company to say, "I'm sorry, we don't have any money left for you."
Okay. But there's so much to talk about here that I could do an hour show on this alone, and I won't bore you, so don't worry about it. First of all, 2011 was the worst year for insurance, property and casualty insurances and companies in about 100 years.
Really?
Yes, one of the major companies, because we had the storms, the hurricane that was out in Western Mass, one of the companies that's been the staunchest one in the state, been around for well over 100 years, they said that they lost 10 years' profit last year. Now, how many years will it take for that to, you know, build back up again? Now, I know some of you are, you know, saying, "Oh, profit, whatever." You know, you want your insurance companies to be solvent, and there are rules that they have to put money aside for catastrophes. And one of the things that scares insurance companies now in the last decade has been hurricanes coming up the East Coast and going across Cape Cod. Some of the big insurance companies canceled every single policy down the Cape. one company canceled 11,000 homeowner policies. They lost over $20 million. Now, if they're looking to make money, I mean, you think they would have said, well, we'll find some way to screw those people, you know. But no, you know, good companies don't do that. And this fallacy that insurance companies don't want to pay claims is bull. That doesn't mean every claim goes smoothly. And it doesn't mean every claim should be paid. That's part of the problem. You don't, you know, we've got calls from people, you know, that a claim has been denied, and the answer is always the same. I've been paying insurance for 25 years. This is the first time I put in a claim. How come, they should pay the claim? Well, not if it's not supposed to be paid. They get audited by the state, and there are rules and regulations. Mm-hmm. It's like when I was teaching. If I told a kid, you don't do this, and the kid did it, it'd say, well, gee, Mr. D, it was the first time I did it. I said, oh, okay, so I guess I told you, you get one mulligan first, right? You knew the rules, you broke the rules, this is the punishment, all right? And it's the same thing with homeowners, car insurance, or whatever. These are things that you're covered for. Now, you can buy better insurance than a lot of people have. Have you taken the time to ask your agent about it? Have you gone over it? You probably just ignored it and said, I need to insure my house. And your agent probably said, okay, maybe after being tired of dealing with people who have the attitude, he's just trying to sell me something, you know. He's just trying to boost up my premium.
And there are changes all the time that come up that you need to know about. And if the poor insurance agent finally says, you know what, this guy is driving me nuts. Every time I try and have a conversation, he thinks I'm trying to, like you said, to sell him something. You'll never know. It could have been something really critical to your situation. He never even got a chance to tell you.
We started a program 2 years ago in our agency of calling every client and just saying, listen, we haven't talked to you, touch base, because there are changes. You might want to put your house and your car together, save some money, but you've got a great setup with this company, which is the best homeowner maybe. This is the best car company. We could save you a little money putting them together, but I wouldn't do it. But I want to give you the opportunity to say, hey, I don't want, I hate insurance, it's all the same, I want to save the money. Whatever you want, your agent should be able to do for you. But they're also supposed to be able to give you some advice and help you out. Now, the insurance companies, when you put a claim in, it costs them hundreds of dollars to process a claim. One of the things they know is they know they're going to pay claims. They know it. Fraud in the last 2 years has gone up 25% because the economy's so bad. So people use insurance like an ATM. That $5,000 ring that your wife had all of a sudden disappears because you sold it to someone for $2,000 and you get $5,000 from the insurance company. The insurance company can force you to build a house even if you have only insurance to build half the house. And they do that. Now, you may say that's really stupid. But the reason they do that is if they were to hand you the cash, and you can imagine some unethical person down the street says, I want to sell my house, I can't sell it, or I hate it, or he's a little off, he burns his house because he's going to get $500,000 in cash. Mm-hmm. That would happen all the time. Insurance companies are not stupid. They're some of the smartest people out there. Look at all the big buildings in Boston.
Big buildings all over the country. Who owns them?
They're the insurance, and they have reasons for doing it. When I hear people say, my dog, he's such a friendly dog. Well, I know people, where I vacation in Maine, they came up from Maryland, and they had a golden retriever. You can't get a friendlier or stupider dog than a golden retriever, right?
Wonderful.
Yeah. Well, their 12-year-old daughter opened the rear hatch of their SUV, and the dog lunged out and bit her face, and she needed plastic surgery, and she needed about a dozen plastic surgeries for her dog. Now, her dog had never done anything. You could say, quote, what a friendly dog, what a nice dog. But they're animals, and they snap sometimes. They make wrong decisions. They get scared. They don't know what's really going on. They're animals. They can make a mistake. Would you rather have a Chihuahua make a mistake or a pit bull? That's one of the reasons to try to outlaw pit bulls. Yes, there are crazy people out there that train their dogs to kill, and they train their dogs to do all sorts of things.
And it doesn't have to be a pit bull.
No, it can be a German Shepherd. It can be a Rottweiler. Yep. It can be a Doberman. But the bigger the dog, obviously, the more damage that it can do. And there's some breeds that's inbred to them that they're a little more aggressive. And you cannot tell me that a pit bull is not an aggressive dog. Now, you could have a sweetheart, and you could have 10 of them. But somewhere along the line, one of them is going to do damage, is going to do something bad to people. And I know I wouldn't have an infant around a pit bull because they're just too dangerous. Question, what dog has the worst record for bites, for biting? Not for the worst bites, but for biting. You'll never guess
Will I win any money if I...
Yes, you will, Harvey. I will double the money that you won last time.
Okay.
Which was 0 because you were wrong last time, too.
I will say a Chihuahua.
No. Dalmatian. Because they are one of the most...
They're very nervous dogs.
Yeah, because they've been one of the breeds that's been most inbred. You know, because the people want to get the spots, so they want to do it, so they don't let them breed outside. You know, but Dalmatians are hyper, and they breed. I don't know a company that will insure a Dalmatian. I do know a company that will insure Dobermans, because one of the senior management of the company trains Dobermans, and he says if they're trained well, they're great. Now I've been over his house, and I opened the door, and 2 Dobermans come, and I hear, "Don't worry, they're just friendly." Friendly. They were 80 pounds of solid muscle with teeth this big. I mean, no, I'm sorry. You know, I mean, yes, they were friendly. I was friendly. You know, whatever the dog wanted, the dog got. That's okay. Pet me, yes, sir. I'm going to pet you. Yeah. So, you know, the dogs that Harvey named are on the list, and some companies will insure a breed that another company won't. So, what do you do if you have a dog that the regular companies won't do it? There is a place in Massachusetts that you can insure it. It's called the Massachusetts Fair Plan. It's the MPIUA. Most agents can get access to it, but they don't like to because it's too much work and they don't pay them. You know, we insure a lot of people with it because it's just part of what a good agency should do.
Yeah.
It's what you should do, all right? And they're also the place of last resort. You have 3 or 4 claims, you get canceled, you go there for a year or 2, and you come back. You know, so dog bites, another statistic, dog bites were the most expensive part of the claims process dealing with liability claims, and they have been for years. Why? Because they pay so much for them.
Oh, okay.
And you know, you may break an arm, you may do something. We have a phone call? Oh, okay. Remind me to start about the man people.
Yep.
Hello, caller. Hello.
Hello there.
Hi, how are you?
Fine. How are you?
How are you?
We're doing great.
I'm fine. Listen, I have a question. You know, with the presidential election going on, I mean, I am so tired of the nasty politics going on and everything like that. In your opinion, who would be better for the economy, and who would be much better in terms of worldviews, and is the economy going to get any better?
Well, I'll give my opinion, and then Harvey will give his. Who would be better for the economy? I do not believe that a person can actually ask that question. Let me ask you, where did we start 4 years ago? Where are we now? Do you want to continue that? If you want to continue that, then Barack Obama is your man. If you want a change, something different, maybe someone who understands it, whatever your opinion is, I don't care because I have mine. You got to have, in my opinion, you got to have a change. It would be better for the economy, without a doubt, Mitt Romney. I don't know how anyone can say not. But, Harvey?
Well.
Apparently we have a difference of opinion.
No, here's the one thing that you have overlooked, and that is this do-nothing obstructionist Congress may not be the way it looks right now. It could be Democratic, and Romney could get elected because people might think, you know what, Ron's right. He may be the guy. What are we going to do if it's a Democratic Congress and Romney is the president? How are you going to get a major shift in policy when that's done, unless finally, because see, I don't care if it's Republicans or Democrats. I am disgusted with the fact that they are more concerned about getting rid of somebody than they are about representing us and creating a plan by sitting down and saying, what's best for this country? Never mind what's best for us so we can be in office and get our pensions and all that other
get our great
stuff.
pensions, go in as normal people and come out multimillionaires.
Oh, my God. So my answer to that is it's going to really depend on the shift in culture. That's what I think. The shift in culture of the legislators in the House. Remember, the House is responsible for the budget. The president presents a budget, but I don't remember in my lifetime any president ever presenting a budget that meant anything. It's kind of like a boilerplate. Let's throw everything in there, give it to the House, see what they come up with. Because I think the president has to submit a budget, and then they have to go ahead and...
But this is the first time in history that there's been not a single vote in the 4 years for the budgets that he submitted. And the first 2 years of his presidency, he had a Democratic House and a Democratic Senate. And I ask all you voters out there, what happened in the first 2 years? Did anything happen? Nothing. They didn't pass any legislation that was of value because they worked on the stupid health care program. And you better be prepared for the taxes that are in that program that you people have heard about and maybe you're not paying attention to, because there's going to be a 1% bank tax on every bank transaction and a 3.8% tax when you sell your house. So if you sell your house for $400,000, you're going to pay almost $16,000 in new taxes that you never had before. Something's got to pay for all this health care.
I agree.
And it's a problem. And, Harvey, you're absolutely right. The the Senate and the House of Representatives have it in odds. None of them are working for us. Maybe you get one here, one there that works out. Even Paul Ryan at least did something. He came up with some sort of budget, and nothing's perfect. We're not going to agree with it, but at least he took a stand and he came up with something. And everyone needs a place to start to work. And, that's not what's happening here. God, I just hope whatever happens after this election, they straighten it out.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you for calling.
Thank you. Now I can make a switch. I want to get back here. I want to get back here.
You were talking about the
gentleman talking about dog bites and how they were the most expensive part of a policy.
Dalmatians, and then go ahead. And then the fair plan.
Yep. One of the companies we represented paid out $250,000 on a dog incident, and it wasn't even a bite. A gentleman was walking down the street. I think it happened in Peabody. An elderly gentleman was across the street, and his neighbor had a golden retriever, a friendly dog, and it was his neighbor's dog next door. But it was across the street on a leash. And the owner was walking the dog. The dog recognized the old man because the old man used to feed him. The dog sort of ran across the street, maybe 20 feet from the leash, and jumped up and barked. It startled the old man. He fell. He broke his hip.
Oh, my God.
And then while he was in the hospital, his hip got infected. And they paid $250,000, and it wasn't even a dog bite. Okay? It was attributed to the dog because,
Yeah.
And this is what insurance companies are dealing with. But we all pay for this.
But they paid it, right?
Yes, they paid it. If the insurance companies didn't pay claims, they could reduce our premiums dramatically.
So, wait a minute. They paid that claim, and... wait a minute. I need to read this. Mary said they would use any means not to pay a claim.
There are a couple.
Good work, Mary.
There are some great companies in Massachusetts, the local ones. I mean, I would never use one of the national companies like Geico, Progressive, even Liberty Mutual and Allstate, because you don't have anyone directly compensated if you're happy or if you're not happy. Mm-hmm. You have a local agent in Medford, or someone comes and uses us. If the claim isn't paid and that person's unhappy, the first thing they do is they take their business away and go someplace else. Now, the insurance company lost 1 out of 50,000 policyholders. The insurance agency lost 1 out of 1,000. Yeah. It affects the insurance agent more. Believe me, your insurance agent is going to fight for you. And if you have one who's nonchalant and doesn't care, go get another one. Because there are plenty of insurance agents out there that respect clients, that want to work for clients. But that doesn't mean everything is going to be paid. There were plenty of times over the course of my 35 years doing this where, someone, it may be 100% right, but the other guy has a story too. And their company's going to listen to them. And your company's going to listen to you. And somewhere they have to come to it. And sometimes you're going to be unhappy. And sometimes it's not going to be what you want.
Yeah.
But the idea is, you present it truthfully, and whenever you fill out an accident report or whatever, just quick, right to the facts. I was going to the store. Nobody cares. You know, I was getting my hair done. Nobody cares. Leave those things out, put the facts, because the more you put in there, the more the other side can pick apart. You know?
And the more they think you're trying to cover something up
Right.
by red herring, you know what I mean by that, by drawing attention somewhere
Right.
else. I was out of breath. Who cares if you were out of breath?
Well,
What happened?
I've had people say that, you know, yeah, but I was looking out the side window. And they say it like, well, sure I hit him, but why should I be surcharged? It wasn't my fault. I was looking out the window. I mean, so it's very difficult because you want to be paid, you know, and some people just don't understand it. But insurance companies, you know, dogs, if you have a dog and they find out, they will cancel the policy in some of the dogs. And they want to know if the dog bites or whatever. I have a little questionnaire here from one of the companies. This is some of the questions they ask, okay? The type of breed. Mm-hmm. Be specific, again, in big letters here. You have a mixture of a pit bull and a chihuahua, they won't do it. All right? Anything with a pit
Wait a
bull.
minute. I want to find out how that happened.
I gave you a picture.
Okay.
How long have you owned the animal? Approximate weight. Where is the dog usually kept? You know, in a dwelling, exterior pen, exterior doghouse. Is the animal restrained while outside? You know, if yes, please explain how. You know, has the animal been trained by any of the following? Is a show breeding, sporting, hunting, security guard? Any prior claims? Oh, no prior claims. So you've had a dog bite 2 years ago. Your insurance company dropped you. You go to another company. Oh, no claims. You have another dog bite.
Is there a clearinghouse?
Yes, there is. The first thing that comes up is you already had a dog bite. They look at the application. You said, no dog bites. Do you think they're going to pay that? If you were my client and you lied to me, I'd call the company and tell them, I don't want that paid. Now, because there are agents that do that, when we call for something that's important, those companies believe us. And there are a lot of good agents out there that will fight for you because they do things the right way. And there are agents out there that will say, don't put that down. If that happens, go to another agent. Because the only thing you're doing is hurting yourself. Because if a circumstance develops, you're going to get in trouble. You know, you're not going to get it paid. And, you know, and no agent's going to throw his hand up and say, yeah, I lied. They had a claim, but I told them forget it. You know, be truthful, be honest with it, and, you know, and there are ways to do it. One of the things that insurance companies are looking at now more than anything is insurance scoring, which is basically what your credit score is. And they throw in some claims if you have a bad claims history. And we were told a decade ago by the vice president of Utica Mutual, who we no longer have in our agency, but he said that it was the single most telling thing to decide in underwriting if they should insure somebody or if they should keep insuring them. Because below a certain credit score, they know that group of people is going to have more claims than someone with an 800 credit score. And one of the companies that we have in our office allows you to take your book of business with them, and they will split up all your policies by your credit score. And it's amazing. As you see credit scores go, you know, higher, the percentage of claims drops off a cliff dramatically. Dramatically. And then think about it. Why shouldn't people who fall into a category that are better risks not get a better rate? Now, they
agree.
They do that with car insurance, but not in Massachusetts. You know.
Now, so one of the things that keeps eating away at me is that, and this is just like 5 comments I made copies of. This particular thread of comments from this were ridiculous. People actually who are not in the business make these crazy statements about, well, I know the insurance companies lie, and I know that they bend their own data. They don't include out-of-court settlement. Ella Watson, who the hell are you to say that? You don't know what they do.
Now, if that person is a real person, and that's the name, and they're watching this, and I just went through the explanation about it, you think she's saying, oh, I never thought of it that way? No, they're saying, oh, no
as a
way.
matter of fact,
you can't get a point across to those
If
type
that
of people.
person's watching, I can almost guarantee you there'll be something on the patch
what a
about
jerk
how
I
terrible
am?
we are. Oh, my God, yeah.
Okay,
but,
well,
I mean, but by the way, I actually did a white page search for an Ella Watson in Medford. Nothing came up. So my suspicion is that it's somebody else, and God bless you, be somebody else. I don't care. But please don't write such stupid stuff.
You're right. I just want to get back to the claims here, because there are an awful lot of things that will get you canceled by an insurance company because you become a bad risk. For example, if you have a bunch of claims, right? Well, you could have a couple of water claims. This scares the hell out of insurance companies, especially ice dams, which go in the roof. Because if you have an ice dam and you haven't repaired the roof, you say, well, there's nothing wrong with the roof. It's likely to happen again. So if an insurance company knows they're going to be paying a claim, why would they keep you on their books? So they will cancel you, okay? Water damage scares the heck out of insurance companies. Also, there are houses here that are old, and they have what they call knob and tube wiring, which is basically exposed wires. You have knob and tube wiring, you won't get insurance with regular companies. We can find it for you, but you'll pay through the nose for it. It's more expensive. You have an old furnace. You have fuses in a multi-family house. Now, things that they did 10 years ago, they're not doing anymore. 10, 15 years ago, you might have had a 3-family with fuses. Wouldn't have been a problem.
I have another question for you about something that's timely. As of today, you know that the Gulf Coast is getting really beaten up by this Hurricane Isaac.
It's Bush's fault.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that it's not as wild a storm as Katrina doesn't mean it won't cause as much damage, because this thing is moving so slow. They're going to get 20, 25 inches of rain. I mean, can you even imagine? That would be, that's a catastrophe. So my point is that we are now in the hurricane season. Who knows if we'll get one this year, we won't get one. What should people be looking at on their homeowner's policy to make sure that they have what they need for protection? And is there enough protection that you can buy to make sure that a hurricane doesn't destroy you financially?
Well, first of all, you need to make sure that your house is insured for the right amount. I mean, not for what you paid for it, not for what it's worth, for what it would cost to rebuild your house. Older houses cost more to rebuild than newer houses. So you call your agent and you ask for replacement cost on the dwelling. And what that does is, let's say the house would take $400,000 to build. Some companies will give you 25% more, 50% more, and there are companies that will give unlimited amounts. And there are very few of those now. There used to be all the way. I just have to read this. I've seen message that he writes, and he knows I can't see that far.
But what can you buy?
Well, you buy the regular homeowner policy, which will cover you for wind damage. Make sure you don't have a high wind deductible. What some companies are doing now is they're giving you a $1,000 deductible and throwing a $10,000 wind deductible on. Okay, but once again, it's incumbent upon you to look at your policies, because if you have that and it's been a change, they notify you. They send it to you.
If you're watching, every single one of you should be calling your agent tomorrow and just asking, if we got a hurricane next week, am I okay?
Can I get my house rebuilt? Okay, but even that, he says yes. If something happens, and he says, yeah, you never called me. You want us to say, it's. I hate email, but it's great for the following thing: sending a trail, a legal trail. You email your agent. Please make sure my house is adequately protected. Make sure, what does adequately mean? Make sure I can replace my house. Then you've got something in writing, back from him. Yes, it is. You hold it. You put it in your folder.
And do I have the proper deductibles for the various things that could happen that would damage my home?
They have sump pump coverage. You can buy that through most companies. What it amounts to, if your sump pump fails,
okay,
and your basement then gets flooded, they'll pay for it.
Yep.
Some package it in, like I brought something here. This is from one of the companies. And this is 5, I don't know if you can see it, but it's 5 different columns of all sorts of extra coverages you can buy in little packages.
Okay.
Some of the packages have sump pump coverage in there, some of them don't. Every company's different now. It's really become confusing. But call and do that. The other thing is, if you're in a floodplain, or even if you're not, you can qualify for flood insurance. If you're not in a floodplain, flood insurance is extremely inexpensive. But flood insurance does not cover a finished basement.
Yeah, and the other thing you said about flood insurance is if the water hits the ground.
If the water comes in through the ground, if there's like a rising of a river or something,
Yeah.
that's flooding. If water was to come in through an open window and ruin a hardwood floor, that's not flooding. You know, if it comes through the roof because of an ice dam, that's not flooding.
So if it's not flooding, it's covered by your homeowner.
Yes, it should be covered by your homeowner's
And
insurance.
if it is flooding and you don't have flood insurance,
You're up the creek, literally.
that was very good, Ron. Ron's normally not funny.
And not too bright. No, but the best thing you can do is every couple of years, call your agent and see what's out there. You know, you may be able to move your policies to, you know, combine them or whatever. Find out what the difference is. If you've had a history with a company for 10 or 15 years and it's a good company, you don't move for a few bucks.
Yeah.
You don't, because companies are looking at that now, and you know, and there are some really good companies that, you know, we've had claims paid that I know shouldn't have been paid, and offers from companies when I've called up to try and find out, is there anything we can do? And truth, I've had, you know, one window that I remember up in Middleton that it was $1,800 claim, and they gave the guy $1,000, and he had a $1,000 deductible. And I remember the underwriter saying, well, if we give him $1,000, you think he'll be okay with that? Because he'd been with them for 15 years with us and never had a claim.
And they don't want to lose the business. That's good business.
So that goes against what people say. Now, that's not every single claim, believe me.
Sure.
But this is something, you know, the guy had a high premium. He was paying it every year. It never caused a problem. Every payment he made was on time. And they're looking at that. Because there's also a high correlation against people who are late all the time and people who have claims.
Yep.
You know, and
Yep.
that costs the insurance companies money. It's a pain in the neck. And it costs the agency time to do things. So you know, your credit has become very important in the things that you do. If you have a bill, I mean, pay the bill. I mean,
Yeah. So we're coming into our last couple of minutes. There was one other thing I wanted to real quick ask you. Beyond the hurricane season comes the winter. There's nothing special you have to look at on your house homeowner's policy,
but I'm a big believer in liability. Make sure your liability is at least $500,000, and that may seem like a lot, but the standard policy comes in with $100,000.
Yep.
It's about $25 a year to go to $500,000. And some companies will go to $1 million on the house, and another maybe $25. But if you have assets, if you have a nice house, if you have a good job, look into an umbrella policy. There's one company out there that if you have your house and your car with them and you have an umbrella policy, you virtually get, because they will decrease the price on the car insurance and the house insurance because multi-policy discount, you basically get the umbrella insurance for almost free.
And if the money is really tight, what you could do is take a look at possibly increasing your deductibles a little bit, which will lower your premiums and therefore pay for the increase in your umbrella policy.
You can drive around with a dented car, you know, but you know, get that money and spend it better. Save it. Go to $1,000 deductible.
Hopefully you've enjoyed the show and that maybe you can save some money from something that we said. And I can't wait to read the Medford Patch tomorrow and see if Ella Watson has anything to say about what we said.
Well, just remember, it was him saying it. I don't read it, so he's the one.
We appreciate you watching.
Yes.
We'll see you next month, I hope. And have a great Labor Day holiday weekend. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.